What's going on, guys? Michael here, and welcome to the 30,000 subscribers Q&A. Whoa. Now, before I get into the questions, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for making this channel what it is. I began at the end of last summer, and I'm so happy and shocked that it's reached 30k so quickly. When I first started making videos, nobody watched them, but I thought I might as well stick with it because I find this stuff so fascinating, and then lo and behold, you guys started showing up. And it's you that have turned this channel into what it is, and now we're over 30,000 strong, ladies and gentlemen, and still growing, and it's one of the greatest communities I've ever seen on YouTube. And I'm not just saying that because it's our channel. I'm saying that because of the amount of support I receive on every single video. I mean, you guys are commenting and liking like crazy. It just blows my mind, and I can't say thank you enough. So thank you. And without further ado, let's get into some questions. So let's start with @MarsAtPlay. How did you get interested in ancient civilizations, and did Graham Hancock play a role in it? Well, MarsAtPlay, thank you for your question. I appreciate it. I've always been very fascinated by history. It was my favorite subject at school. I did it all the way through, and then obviously did it at university as well. But specifically, I chose ancient history because I think the further back you go, the more mysterious these things become. Because the older it gets, the less we know, and I think that makes it more intriguing, as there's just so many more possibilities. So yeah, I studied ancient history at university, and it really deepened my passion for the subject and gave me a strong academic foundation. But what really hooked me is the fact that there may be more to the story than we've been told, and it was during my degree that I really came across these alternative theories. And yes, Graham Hancock definitely played a role. I think he was one of the first, if not the first, alternative kind of voices that I heard, and he really opened my eyes to these viewpoints and the importance of questioning mainstream narratives. Him and others honestly made history feel alive and urgent, and that really wasn't the case with my course. There were no unresolved questions when I was studying it at university. It was just kind of learn this stuff and then repeat it to the next generation, and then we'll just continue the cycle forever. And I wasn't really feeling that. But yeah, Graham was a big influence. I don't necessarily agree with absolutely every single thing that he says, but that's fine because no two humans agree on everything. But I really admire his courage to challenge the consensus and think independently. And now I kind of hope to do the same. I hope to present different perspectives, to stir curiosity, and to get people thinking about the past. Thank you so much, MarsAtPlay. On to the next question, which is from @AnonymousGuy1794, who asks, why is the science community as a whole really stodgy when it comes to new ideas or even probing for them? Even when it's someone of note, the science community usually jeers anyone that goes against the consensus or the settled science. How do we resolve this issue? Well, I think it kind of depends on the field that you're talking about. Like, in something like physics, the rigidity, almost makes sense. You don't want someone designing your flipping car that doesn't know how to do that, you know what I mean? Or you don't want someone flying a plane that can't fly a plane. When something actually has to work, it actually has to work. So in that kind of scientific community, I think that gatekeeping, for want of a better word, is very important. But when it comes to archaeology and history, it's different because these aren't hard sciences. They just use science. Like, you use science to date stuff, but the discipline of archaeology and history itself isn't a science. The core of it is based on interpretation. Like, we're often working with fragments, ruins, tools, bones, and trying from just that to piece together an entire civilization story. And that should invite a range of theories because there's so many possibilities, but unfortunately we don't often see that. I think that the dominant academic paradigm is quite hard to step out of, especially when you're inside it, because it's not just ideas, it's reputations, it's careers, it's ego. For someone like me, it's a lot easier because I'm on the outside. I can question things without risking a grant or a job. That said, I think we need mainstream archaeologists and historians. They do all the vital work. They know things that we don't. They collect the data that we use to construct these theories, so we need them. I'm not interested in like starting a war with them or anything like that, although I get why people do. The resistance to new ideas can be pretty frustrating. But to fix this, I think we need open discussion. No wild claims, no hostility, just good solid evidence and respectful dialogue. And if we can ground our curiosity in facts, we might just win a few people over. And that's a win for everyone trying to understand our past. So I hope that answered your question. Maybe not, maybe I just went on a bit of a ramble there, but oh well. The next question is from @jvids8141. Do you believe there are people alive today that know the truth about our history, but are keeping it from everyone for nefarious reasons? Honestly, no. I don't believe there's some grand conspiracy of archaeologists who get together in some dark, dingy room and plot against alternative viewpoints and people like Graham Hancock. I don't believe that. I think the real issue is a bit more systemic rather than sinister. Like I said before, paradigms are hard to shift. Academia moves super slowly, and it often takes overwhelming, unrefutable evidence to change entrenched views. It's not that people, I think, are hiding the truth, it's that they're already deeply invested in what they believe is the truth. And that's human nature, not a conspiracy. So I don't think there's a deliberate cover-up, just a rigid rigid system that resists change until it has absolutely no choice. The key is persistence, patience, and continuing to ask these big questions, which is what we're all doing, and trying not to jump to big, outlandish, wild conclusions, because that's when they get their ammunition from. So let's not do that. I don't think there's a grand conspiracy. Thank you for your question. Next one is from MCLV1155, who says, what do you think is the purpose of the academic timeline narrative? Again, same kind of question. I don't think there's some grand purpose or agenda hidden behind it. I think it's more that this timeline is the result of centuries of digging, theorizing, and interpretation, and it's just simply become the foundation for how we understand history. Once that framework is in place, it's incredibly difficult to shift, even when new evidence comes along. People build entire careers, theories, reputations on certain assumptions, and when we challenge that, it means shaking up a lot more than just the facts. So it's less about a purpose and more about inertia. Change in academia is very slow, often generational, and you can't just fucking change the narrative overnight, as much as I'd want to. And that's why I think alternative viewpoints backed by good evidence and respectful dialogue is so important, because if we keep plugging away, then at some point, people will start to take notice. Thank you for your question. The next one is from @BrewMannon74000. Have you followed the vase scan project, which Have you followed the vase scan project, which Uncharted X is a part of? If so, what are your thoughts on the subject? I have. It's generally one of the most fascinating projects out there right now, to be honest. I mean, to me, those vases are possibly one of the clearest examples we have of ancient technology that just doesn't add up. The level of precision, the symmetry, the internal geometry, it's mind-blowing, especially considering what is traditionally attributed to the ancient Egyptians. And the weirdest thing is that they show up right at the very start of the Egyptian civilization. Like, I think they come from the first dynasty or something, which alone raises massive questions. So we're left with two options. Either the ancient Egyptians had far more advanced tools and techniques than we give them credit for, or they inherited this knowledge from a far older and potentially more advanced civilization. Either way, the mainstream narrative doesn't add up here and needs to make way for these kind of anomalies. I'm a huge fan of Ben and Uncharted X. He's been a big inspiration for me in my journey, and he's a super knowledgeable, open-minded guy and a great resource all around, so big up Ben from Uncharted X. I love his stuff. Thank you for your question. Now, before I go on to the rest, I just wanted to make a quick channel announcement. I don't know if anyone will be interested in this, but a lot of people have been reaching out to me, so I decided I'm going to start sharing some occasional behind-the-scenes kind of updates and little bonus content via email. This is just going to be extra thoughts from my videos, odd little discoveries from my research, and a few ramblings that I don't share anywhere else. And just the thoughts I'm chewing over, really, you know, the unfinished ideas, just the random shit from my brain. The peek behind the curtain for only those with a real interest in my work. So if that sounds like a bit of you can sign up below. I'll put the link in the description. It's completely free, so get on that. But if not, that's totally fair enough. We live in an extremely busy and information-heavy world, and I completely understand not wanting to have me pop up in your inbox occasionally with a few random thoughts and behind-the-scenes kind of ramblings. But if you do, the link is in the description, so sign up below. Anyway, let's get back to the questions. David Perez TK8MX, what do you think about the Olmecs and the up to 50-ton heads that they carved? Yeah, super interesting. I don't know if they're of African origin as such, but their kind of African-looking features are extremely mysterious. I think they clearly show very advanced artistic skill, and the massive scale of the heads. I mean, as you say, they weigh like, well, you said 50 tons? I'm not, is it up to, anyway, they're very heavy. Kind of inconsistent with the mainstream view of Mesoamerican civilization, so that is a bit of an oddity. I think it's fun to speculate that the heads may reflect a contact or influence from some like earlier culture, earlier, more advanced civilization in Mesoamerica, possibly, perhaps one that existed before the known historical cultures. I'm also open to the idea that some kind of transoceanic contact could have explained the Olmec's head design, because, I mean, they look African, and so how could they have seen African features if they hadn't been across the water? I mean, it makes no sense. It's definitely a very intriguing mystery. I haven't dived into it too much, but I know a bit about it, and yeah, I think I accept the standard dating of about like 1000 BC. I think that's what it is. But the stylistic and technical anomalies really do kind of hint at an older cultural memory or some sort of inheritance from another civilization. So they're certainly very fascinating. Next question is from Joseph Best 6216. Why have you dropped the hallowed Arsenal shirt? My man, we just lost last night to PSG as I'm recording this. We went out of the Champions League. I'm super sad. So I've got rid of all my Arsenal. No, I'm kidding. I obviously can't wear an Arsenal shirt in every video. I actually am wearing Arsenal merch now, so you wouldn't even know. Look at that. There's the cannon right there. There's the cannon right there. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of Arsenal Football Club, which is a football team or a soccer team from London, England. and well, we just lost. So not feeling too positive about Arsenal right now. But I have not dropped the hallowed Arsenal shirt, Joseph. I'll be wearing that in future videos, but I can't wear Arsenal kit in every single video because that would be a bit far. But repping the Gunners today. Come on, you Gunners. Next question at Teresa Taylor, L8F, I think. Sorry. Hey, what do you think are the most important lessons we should remember from history? Also, do you have any tips for someone starting a degree in ancient history and classical archaeology? Also, do you have any tips for someone starting a degree in ancient history and classical archaeology? Now that's a tough question, the first bit anyway. I mean, one of the biggest lessons for me, I think, is the kind of the cyclical nature of civilizations. At least that's one of the things I find most interesting. I made a few of my earlier videos on this. It's kind of a pattern that shows up again and again throughout history. Civilizations rise, they thrive, and then usually they fall, or they plateau and they fall. Not always in the same way, but the kind of rhythm and the cycle of it is unmistakable. A book I highly recommend on this is The Lessons of History. Maybe I'll pop it up there, maybe not, by Will and Ariel Durant. It's quite a short book, but it's packed with insight. It's really helped me shape my thinking on the fragility of civilization and how their collapse can reflect on our own society and our potential future. So interesting stuff. I recommend that book. As for the degree you're starting, congratulations for getting into that. That's fantastic. I think it's even better that you're staying open to kind of alternative theories while proceeding with a kind of mainstream, academic career, which is great, and I really like that. My advice would just be to kind of work hard, stay curious, don't be afraid to focus on what you find interesting, even if it's a bit outside the mainstream. But yeah, just enjoy your time there, man. I mean, meet people, challenge ideas respectfully, but don't get too disheartened when the alternative viewpoints get dismissed, and that's just part of the game. But I'm sure a lot of the stuff you're going to learn about is super, super interesting, because it's not just alternative history and prehistory and the ancient mysteries that is interesting. Like, lots of the accepted mainstream timeline that I agree with is super, super interesting. So you're going to learn some super, super interesting stuff. Yeah, I'd love to hear what it's like for you, Teresa, on the inside of the academic world, so let me know. Next question is from Tommy89. Considering that you have a degree in ancient history, at what point of your course of study and why did you start to doubt the solidity of what they were teaching you? It's not really that I doubted the solidity of what they were teaching. As I just said, like, what we covered was well researched and grounded, and I agreed with all of that. It was more the problem of what wasn't there. It was what was missing. I mean, there was barely any mention of the older, more mysterious sites, like Göbekli Tepe wasn't mentioned once, or any of the kind of mysterious sites we see in South America. I mean, there was barely anything on ancient Egypt, which is pretty remarkable. So yeah, it felt like the timeline just kind of started at a certain point, and anything before that was just brushed off as irrelevant or speculative, and it almost feels like the most exciting, interesting bits that had the most discussion around them weren't covered at all, maybe for that reason. That's what already got me thinking though, like, are we missing a part of the story because it doesn't just fit neatly into the academic framework? And that curiosity is what has led me down this path that I am now on. And yeah, asking questions that don't always have easy answers and being open to possibilities that aren't always in the textbook. That's kind of what happened to me. I think I went a bit off track there answering your question, but hopefully that did something. Next question at Sebov7626. Are you planning on continuing with another degree in ancient history or conduct archaeological type research in or outside academia yourself in the future? I don't think I'll go back into formal education, to be honest. I did my time, but another degree, yeah. It's not really the path I want to take. I mean, at least not right now. But I would love to do more research. I mean, real hands-on exploration of ancient sites around the world, that is the dream. That's the dream of this channel. I really want to get to a point where I can go to more of these sites like I did with Malta and really see them firsthand and make videos and make content and talk about them with you guys. That's the dream of this channel. So I hope I can do that. Obviously, I'm not a qualified archaeologist. I did ancient history. It's different, at least in my country. I mean, we dabbled a bit in archaeology, but I'm not formally trained in excavation or field work. But yeah, that said, I think there's a huge value in being curious and passionate people like us asking questions. And if I can play a part in that, investigating, documenting, shining a light on forgotten or mysterious places, then I'm doing what I set out to do. Thank you for your question. The next one is from Kelly Robinson 6663. What are your thoughts on the Gornaya Shoria in Russia? Probably pronounced that wrong. I think those megaliths do not belong to us, but to the Denisovans. Yeah, I do sort of know this site, but not very well, but it looks super interesting. It's definitely one of those places that really makes you stop and think. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Visually, it definitely has like the kind of ancient megalithic wall kind of thing looking to it, doesn't it? Like, it's massive blocks, sharp edges, huge stones. It looks like an ancient wall that we get all over the place. My camera's about to die, so I'll come back in a second. Sorry about that. We were on Kelly Robinson's question about Gornaya Shoria. Terrible pronunciation, probably. Yeah, I mean, I think if it did turn out to be man-made, that would be like a completely paradigm-shattering discovery, to be honest, like absolutely no question. That said, I do know there are like geological processes and erosion that can make stones kind of look in that way, so that's definitely something to consider. Like, it's possible that it is natural as well. But what we really need is independent geologists to go in there and archaeologists to properly study the site, because I'm not sure if anything has been done on that. So hopefully some people like that can go in with no preset agenda and really take a look at it, because if it did turn out to be an ancient megalithic wall, then that would literally change everything. That would be mental. So someone should check it out. The Denisovans angle that you mentioned, yeah, that's fascinating too. I mean, I think their presence is known in that area, isn't it? So there's also a lot of mystery surrounding their capabilities. So I mean, it's a possibility, I guess. It's not a completely crazy idea. It would be absolutely paradigm shattering if the Denisovans had built a huge megalithic wall, but we'll see. I'll watch it closely and I hope for more real investigation into that site in the future. Thank you so much for your question, Kelly. And now on to the next question, which is from @TKBoyOG. The real OG. Do you think there will be a revolution in the way people think about human civilizations that may have come before us? E.g. the notion of hunter-gatherers overnight becoming stonemasons and master builders for no apparent reason, then buggering off again isn't quite right, and it would take a long and steady accumulation of ideas and skills that are passed around and taught to each other over millennia before culminating in the design and construction of things that don't really seem possible today. And or is there any planned collaboration with Graham Hancock? I mean, to answer the first part of your question, will there be a kind of revolution in the way that people think about human civilizations and that may have come before us? I think so. I think so, and I certainly hope so. I think we're definitely on the cusp of a kind of shift in thinking, where more people are starting to accept that human civilization went back way deeper into prehistory than we've traditionally been taught. And not just in the classic like administrative city model that we see in Mesopotamia, but in a variety of forms, maybe even kind of types of civilizations we haven't even imagined yet. The idea that hunter-gatherers just suddenly became master builders obviously just doesn't make sense. Like, there had to be some sort of civilizational build-up. I assume you're referring to Göbekli Tepe here. Obviously it doesn't make sense. So yes, it's going to go back further into history. It's going to become accepted at some point. I also think that geological and climatic evidence, such as basically catastrophism, the idea of that, those ideas haven't really kind of seeped into mainstream historical thinking and archaeological thinking yet. I think that when... Oh, I've just lost your question on my page. Oh no, where am I? No. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, like catastrophism. Yeah, sorry, I think catastrophism and kind of climatology will gradually seep into the kind of mainstream historical thinking on this, and even things like the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis is starting to change that conversation. But as I said before, change takes time. It's going to take new generations of young, open-minded people like yourself to kind of make this change happen. So keep asking questions, exploring possibilities, and don't take the school textbook as the final word. As for working with Graham Hancock, I mean, I've obviously got no collaborations planned with him. He's a big dog, but I'd be absolutely honored. I mean, like, he's had a huge influence on my thinking, and yeah, I'd absolutely love to connect with him one day. So we can hope for that one in the future, guys. Next question is from Chameleon1981. What do you think about the elongated head people of the past? They seem to be across the Americas, Egypt, Europe, Far East, the burial mounds of England, and some through the rest of Europe, and they tend to be part of the ruling class. What's your personal thoughts, theories? Yes, there was some head binding, but that's not what I'm referring to. These other skulls are found are very different. Yeah, it's honestly one of the strangest and most intriguing kind of threads in ancient history, these elongated skulls. I mean, you find them in so many places like Peru, Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Black Sea region, I think, parts of Asia, Europe, all over the shop, man. And they're often associated with elites and ruling classes. I mean, while head binding is like documented historical practice, like there are some skulls like the Paracas ones, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but yeah, some ones like those ones are, they don't quite fit that explanation. So they seem structurally different, larger cranial capacity, different kind of connection, what's that word? When you, suture? Oh, I can't remember. Sorry, I'm really flopping this answer. Why is my fucking camera still dying? I just deleted loads of footage. What's going on here? Sorry, that time I didn't have enough storage, so it's all going wrong today. But we were talking about elongated skulls, but I mean, basically, I don't know the answer. The fact it shows up in all these different cultures is a bit suspicious. I mean, it either points to widespread cultural diffusion or maybe some deeper shared memory of tradition, but I mean, I don't know, but I just think it suggests something more complex may be going on. But yeah, it's just one of those things that doesn't fit into the mainstream narrative, which is a lot of these things. But moving on to the next question before my camera dies again, it is at Darth Scorpio 78. Could some of the ancient megalithic sites be separate civilizations from different epochs? For instance, the Sphinx temples being separated by millennia, say, from the original structures at Machu Picchu or Pumapunku. I mean, yeah, I think that's a very real possibility, and one that perhaps doesn't get enough attention. I think when you look at places like the Sphinx Temple, Machu Picchu, Pumapunku, the styles, methods, and the kind of sheer impossibility of the construction, in some cases does seem to point to different times, different technologies, and probably different civilizations entirely. Just because they all fall under the same label of ancient doesn't mean they were all built around the same period by the same kind of people. I mean, we tend to lump them all together under the same single timeline, but the evidence of weathering and tool marks and architectural styles sometimes suggest a much older origin, even thousands of years apart. So yeah, I mean, the Sphinx water erosion hypothesis puts the Sphinx, you know, at 10,000 BC or earlier, I mean, depending on your views on it. So yeah, but meanwhile, sites like Pumapunku show signs of machining and precision that just doesn't fit with the technology that we attribute to the Inca or any of the other civilizations in South America at that period. So yeah, I think it's entirely plausible that what we're looking at is not just one lost civilization, but many from different epochs and with different levels of advancement. And yeah, I just think our current timeline might just be sticking together these scattered ruins of forgotten worlds. Yeah, so I think it could just be loads of different civilizations and the timeline shifting backwards for human history, basically. Anyway, on to the next question. Stephen Howes 8477. Where would the lost advanced civilization have been based? Was it one central location and its people spread out across the globe after the Younger Dryas? Or were there many civilizations around prior to the Younger Dryas who all happened to have more advanced knowledge at the time? Yeah, this really connects to the previous idea that I was just talking about. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure it's just one civilization. I think it's more likely there were many small but sophisticated cultures spread across the globe, kind of possibly trading knowledge and ideas and perhaps even technology over long periods. I think what we may need isn't just a tweak to the timeline, I think a full shift in kind of how we understand our deep past is needed. Like, I don't think it's just a straight line. I've spoken about this in lots of my videos. I think it's a complex web that stretches back a lot further with peaks and dips and cataclysms and civilizations falling and rising and falling again. I think that's what's been happening, and we massively underrate the complexity and what's been going on in human prehistory. Now, if we're talking about a truly advanced globe-spanning civilization, that's a bit more speculative, but not impossible. And in that case, it could have been everywhere, and that's kind of where the Younger Dryas sea level conversation comes into it. Like, a huge amount of the prime real estate, if you will, of the Ice Age is now underwater. Like, coastlines where any advanced seafaring civilization would have been based are simply gone. So it's not just a matter of where it's based, but like, it could have been everywhere, all along the coastlines, and how much is missing because we're not exploring under the oceans? That is the question, Stephen House, and thank you for your question. Sorry if I said your second name wrong, I probably did, but thank you for the question. Next question is from Pete Berry 3826. Is there any one relic or ruin from the past that just pops out of place? I mean, there's so many, it's hard to choose. I mean, a very fun one is the Antikythera mechanism, which I made a video about, definitely near the top of the list. I mean, it's literally a fully mechanical computer from over 2,000 years ago. But I'm pretty sure that's probably the ancient Greeks, but it might have come from an earlier kind of civilizational build-up of technology, because again, it wasn't the first one, was it? But I mean, kind of ancient sites, ruins that really jump out as a lot of South America, the kind of precision cut stones that look like they were machined and molded together. I think South America is just a brilliant example of just how little we understand. A lot of Egypt as well. The Assyrian in ancient Egypt is just a megalithic structure built beneath the Temple of Seti with just huge granite blocks, and they got that unfinished obelisk there. It's just absolutely undeniably, like, mind-bendingly out of the mainstream narrative. It doesn't make sense. Göbekli Tepe is basically the smoking gun, I think. And there's so many more. I mean, Longyu Caves in China, the megaliths at Baalbek. I mean, I just think all of these things, there's so many more that I haven't mentioned there, they just challenge the conventional timeline. And it's not so much that there's one clear piece of evidence, although I think Göbekli Tepe kind of is that. It's more just like when you stack all these things together, you understand that the mainstream timeline just doesn't make sense. Because one or two anomalies can be written off, but like dozens and dozens and dozens, it's a pattern. So thanks for your question. That was a pretty terrible answer, but On to the next one, at Vitrums. Are there any plans for a site-by-site series? Say, what we actually know about Easter Island, or chances Roman indeed built the temple at Baalbek, etc. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I mean, there's so many fascinating sites out there that deserve a deep dive. It's more just a question of, you know, I'm working really hard to get a video out each week, and it takes a lot of work, you know. So I'm basically just focusing on whatever gets me hooked at that current moment, but the channel hopefully will keep growing, and so a dedicated series like that is definitely something I'd want to explore in the future. Like, imagine a proper breakdown of each site, what the mainstream says, what the anomalies are. Oh, it could be pretty good. So yeah, absolutely on my radar. Stay tuned, hopefully one day. Thank you for your question. Next question at Domister123. Hey Michael, how's it going? How's it going with you? I was wondering, have you ever heard of the book Ancient Irish Wisdom Preserved in the Bible and the Pyramids? And what is your opinion is the best evidence we have of an ancient global civilization? Thanks. I haven't heard of the book, but sounds interesting. I'll definitely check it out. I mean, I've kind of just answered this question, I think, but yeah, I think it's not one thing. It's kind of the pattern of anomalies scattered across the world, like, you know, the megalithic structures. It's the fact that the dates keep getting pushed back, add in flood myths from every culture, coastlines now underwater. I mean, I've just kind of answered this question, sorry, but so yeah, I refer back to my previous answer, which was also pretty terrible, but to me, yeah, that's the strongest case. It's not really a smoking gun, it's more a growing mountain of questions that don't make sense, and just the sheer lack of understanding we have of prehistory and how far back it goes, which just opens a huge black hole, which means I don't understand why we stick to such a fixed narrative when the only thing we know is how much we don't know. And that's kind of my opinion on it. So yeah, something big, something global may have been lost, and we're only just beginning to rediscover it. Next question at Goddank. Goddank. Can you talk in depth about the lesser talked about ancient civilizations, like the recently talked about 1400-year-old Sangnam civilization in ancient India and its connection to the wider world with the Yamnaya civilization in ancient Russia? I'll be honest, I need to research those ones a bit more thoroughly before giving a proper take. I don't know enough yet on either of them to speak confidently, so I'd rather wait until I can do them justice. That said, they're both really interesting. I'm just looking at one of them now, especially the idea of the Sangnam civilization possibly reaching so far back in time. If that's accurate, I mean, clearly would challenge the conventional timeline in the region. So yeah, thanks for flagging them, and I'd love to cover them more in future videos where I can do a proper deep dive. Thank you so much. Next question is from Mr. Michael Andrews. Have you seen the Orion correlation in the Red Sea that I found using Google Earth? Now, I have not, Mr. Michael Andrews, Michael, sorry, but I will take a look. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a note of this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the description so that everyone watching this video can also take a look at your video. I'll watch it too. I'll put it on the screen. It's probably on the screen now if I did the correct thing in the edit. And then everyone who's watching this, which maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll be no one, but someone hopefully will go and watch your video as well as me, and then we'll all go check it out and see what you've got there. Thank you for your question. Next question, at Origin for Existence. Hi Michael, at times you interpret the past gives us certain warnings. Do you think we humans can thrive and simultaneously avoid all challenges coming our way? Have you already posted a video related to such thriving and solving? We think humans can thrive and solve thanks to certain practices of our ancestors, and we think you already posted a video related to these practices which can make us 8 billion living humans thrive and simultaneously solve all the challenges. Whoa. Well, I think we have the potential to. I think humans are incredibly smart when we actually focus our energy on something meaningful and we actually want to do something. We've overcome huge obstacles before, but we have to start treating these civilizational threats with a little bit more severity, I think, anyway. A bit more the urgency that they deserve. Climate technology, climate risk, technology risk, social instability. These aren't sci-fi problems, man. I mean, they're real, and they need to be front and center of our thinking, otherwise we will see our world collapse eventually. I mean, it could happen in 10,000 years, it could happen tomorrow. I think it's a bit more of a serious threat than people would say. I don't think I've actually posted a video specifically on how we can thrive by reconnecting with ancestral wisdom, or yeah, I think that's what you meant in the question. I mean, I'm sure ancient societies do hold valuable insights, but I definitely don't have the answers. I'm just some random dude asking questions on YouTube and sharing what fascinates me. So yeah, I'm not the guy with the answers. I'm just a dude. I'm just the dude. Final question, also from Origin for Existence. Hi Michael, what do you think about starting one or more new channels? Even in the 6 or so comments we see until now, we see reasons for you to justify one or more. Yeah, problem is, Origins for Existence, I barely have enough time for this channel, you know? Like, it's a lot of work to put up these videos, and I'm working super hard on them, so I don't know about starting one or more channels, not yet, but maybe one day, hopefully we'll get to that kind of place. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me just waffle on, and I hope I answered your question. I'm pretty sure I got to all of them, but if I didn't, I'm super sorry. Let me know, and I'll answer it via a comment or something like that. If you're interested, remember to sign up to the email list below. I'm going to start sharing some kind of extra content and behind-the-scenes updates on that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you have a lovely day. Peace!